position. I'm wondering about, and Michael, I'd like to include you now in this particular question, is when you think about the work that you've done on your estate plan up to this point, what has gone well or worked well? Because I'm impressed by the thoughtfulness that's gone into it. So just off the top of your head, what's worked well?
Well, we have current documents, which isn't true in every situation. I'm done within 2 years of where we sit right now with the date of the documentation. And that, it reflects kind of a current view of things. And there's nothing in there that doesn't still accomplish what we want to. So that's certainly gone well. What hasn't gone well is exactly what Maureen said, is we probably have a need to have a conversation with each of the kids, probably on their own, as opposed to with spouses, because there are provisions in the estate document which protect the assets for our kids. And, our family is not exempt from divorces and marriage problems. And our priorities, while there are kids that come from marriages and we're connected to them, our chief priority are our own children. So they need to understand the protections that are in there. The powers we have put into the trust allow them to unwind it in the stroke of a pen. So helping them understand why they shouldn't unwind the protections that are there is a conversation that you need to have about 50 times before it really sinks in. And we haven't had.
Now, Marty, I'll make you and Maureen a deal, is that I'm keeping notes on what needs to be adjusted or changed. But I'd like to stay with the original question of, first, let's talk about what has worked well. So you've got current documents, which we all know in the industry is pretty impressive in itself, right? What else would you say has worked well?
We trust our financial planner.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If you don't trust your financial planner, you're in a bad position.
Yeah. Frankly, Courtney, that probably is the key ingredient in the success of my business over the years. That statement Maureen just made could come from virtually every one of my clients. And if that didn't come from them, they weren't a client of mine anymore. I wasn't able to continue serving them. I'd find a way to move them on to somewhere else. So that really has gone very well.
Well, thank you for being overt about, in a way, what I would call the secret sauce, not only of your estate plan, but of your growing your business. That level of trust was just a cornerstone for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What else would you say? And Michael, you have a really interesting vantage point, obviously. You're in the family and you're a trusted advisor in the family and outside the family. What else would you say has gone well?
I would say the willingness to think differently has been a really good thing. Mom, like she said, trusted us. And I want to get to the things that need I want to stay away from what needs to be fine-tuned. So I'm trying really hard to, just the fact that, 10 years of being with the Purposeful Planning Institute and knowing what those two core values, I grew up with them, and so what went well is listening to their, knowing their core values and being able to help them with that. Which we still, the families that I serve today, outside of this family, we do the same thing. We want to find out what are those core values to make sure that we use them as the litmus test to the planning work that we're doing, because it's their core values that matter, not ours. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, every one of my clients would have a trust to start, their family vacation. That's not the case.
Right.
So
great.
Yeah.
Anything to add to the list of what's working well? I've got current docs, we trust our financial planner willingness to think differently and really staying true to your core values.
It's a relief to have some kind of plan, a good plan in place. But I've heard so many horror stories through the years of people that don't have these things in place. And, you know, we've helped people that are dangling and don't know what to do. So it's peaceful to know that we have a plan, and it might not be perfect, but it's as good as we can get it at the time that we did it.
Maureen, I want to really underscore something that you just said, is that I remember when I first started working with family businesses, my uncle had an independent insurance company, and he knew exactly what I did for a living, and we'd have breakfast once a month and just chat. And I asked him about his estate plan, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to do it on the golf course." And I'm like, "What does that mean, Uncle Harold?" And he goes, "Well, I just don't want to have to deal with all the complicated variables, or not to mention your aunt. So I'm just going to let the attorneys deal with it after I pass." And obviously he was trying to be lighthearted about it, but he was serious at the same time. And that's something that we know in the industry is that's the norm. People avoid working on their estate plan because they don't want to do the hard work and the emotional churn that it creates. So my hat's off to you all for what you just said. You have a plan, and that's remarkable.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in life insurance and estate planning because my first husband, Michael's natural father, died at 28. So we didn't have much.
Wow.
And knowing that death can happen at any time, we never know, made me a believer in all of this planning. You know,
I
we want to take care of children.
Man. Yeah, that must have made it very real for you, Maureen, the importance of doing this work. Wow, thank you for sharing that. Now, the next question